When I was growing up, I always heard about the fight against cancer because my father was a cancer surgeon. And here I am today, getting a chance to carry on his legacy, educating, motivating, inspiring others who are fighting their battle against cancer.
Joan was just telling us the story. Joan Lunden was diagnosed with breast cancer in June of 2014. Today, she is cancer-free.
Yes.
She's an advocate for other women facing breast cancer. Louder applause on that. Joan joins us as a paid spokesperson for Amgen, an educational initiative that includes a series of videos called At Home with Joan. Joan, it's so good to see you. I feel like you're family here. Jeff could not wait to meet you.
I'm so excited. I got all the good. Joan Lunden fan, right? Yeah. Happy. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
You were telling us before we went on, we mentioned your dad in that. So what were you telling us about your dad?
Well, my dad was a cancer surgeon, but back in the day when we didn't have any of what we have today, chemotherapy, radiation, I mean, they really just did these incredible radical mastectomies on women. And he went around to a lot of different states and did dissertations at conferences, and he was here in LA speaking at a big cancer convention and took off. He was an avid private pilot. We had a plane, flew all over as a family, and he took off from LAX and crashed in Malibu Canyon.
Oh my
and he
goodness.
was only 51 years old. I was 13 at the time, and I was just so sure that I was going to follow in his footsteps and, you know, carry on that legacy and become a doctor. And then I worked in a hospital for the summer before going away for college and said,
Nope.
Not interested.
I just knew I just didn't have that stitches and scalpels and the whole thing going on.
But now, interesting that this has become your life mission.
Look at this. You know, it was only a couple days after I got diagnosed that I was still thinking, you know, I'm going to put on a baseball cap and sunglasses and, like, not let anybody know about that I have cancer. Because it's that word that's so scary. It's hard to even call your friends and say I have cancer. And then I said, you know what? I've shared every chapter of my life, whether I liked it or not. Here's a chapter that I could actually have an impact. And it was this incredible opportunity that had just gotten dropped in my lap where I could actually carry on my dad's legacy. And it's like this amazing, it's like the most important assignment that I've ever been given. And I was really surprised when I was first diagnosed because I interviewed so many cancer experts, and I all of a sudden realized how little I knew about cancer, about chemotherapy. I had a very aggressive kind of breast cancer. This is just a little subset of that. There's no targeted therapy for. You have to go through months and months of chemo. And I didn't know anything really about it. I didn't know about the risk of infection. I didn't know that a lot of people end up going into the hospital with an infection. They die from the infection, not even the cancer. And it just kind of struck me that if I'm the person that's interviewing people and I don't know anything about this, then I need to go out there and do outreach. I need to help educate and make sure that other people are informed patients and that they're empowered and that they realize that they need to ask questions and that they need to understand their risks and all the choices that they have available to them to protect themselves from infection. That's what that fire got lit in me. And this is the perfect campaign that came along. I was like, yes, I'll do this.
I'm like a silly guy, and like when I found out we were having you and what we were going to be talking about, my instinct was to go like, it's cancer, like I don't. But it's important to know that we have to talk about it. We should talk about it. There's important information about it so that you just, you know, we all know someone with cancer. We all, you know, we have these scenarios in our life, and it's a subject people don't like to talk about. So it's
when
great.
you came out on the cover of the magazine,
People
bald,
magazine.
That to me, and for me, I didn't even know you were battling this. And I thought, to your point, Jeff, to me, that said, come on in, everybody. Let's talk about this. Let's get the answers. You talked about what you wish you had known then to ask, because so many people, I look at when my mom was diagnosed.
I know.
And it was back in the day.
Your
of
mom
like
and I have discussed this.
It was a hatchet job, and they didn't really know what they were doing. And women, it was kind of shame involved a little bit.
Nobody talked about
Joan
it.
Lunden knew your mom?
They become friends.
Yes.
That's jealous, man.
But nobody used to talk about it. Really, Betty Ford was the first one that came out and spoke about her breast cancer and kind of made it okay. And in today's world, I got to tell you, getting through breast cancer it's very isolating. You're in there, you're going through this treatment. The fact that today women can talk to each other on social media, I couldn't believe it as soon as I went public on social media, this unbelievable response. And now there's this community of women, and they're always asking me questions. I've got my little stable of experts. I go off, I try to get their questions answered. And I've learned a lot from them. And to me, it's like, it's been a turning point in my career. And by the way, this whole thing of social media, when I was at Good Morning America, there was no social media.
Yeah, you couldn't get fired at all.
No.
It was impossible.
And there were men anchors.
Yeah. And now it's like a whole new world.
Yeah.
But it's a world that has provided me the ability to help educate other women.
Well, and also,
men.
you've got 7 kids, so you have a little community there to help, too.
And you know, it doesn't make any difference how many presidents I've covered. It's the 7 kids that always get the applause everywhere I go. Oh, look at that. We all are.
Joan. Look at your family
I have 3 older daughters. Those older daughters in the kind of the back row.
All right, we'll talk
They were everywhere I went, to every appointment that I went on during my cancer journey. And the 2 sets of twins, I have a set of twins who are freshmen in high school, and a set of twins who are in middle school. You know, that easy age, middle school.
Oh, totally easy. Get the teenage years. Much more with Joan Lunden after these messages from your local station.
This has to be bad for my boobs. But they say the trampoline's good. I don't know. Bad for the boobs?
No, we're saying great for the boobs. Welcome back to Access Live.
Trampoline and boobs go together like peanut butter and jelly, you know?
My husband does that all the time, and I went down and I tried. I was like, this can't be good for me. And he saw that. Somebody showed it to him, and he said, what are you putting on social media? I think if I say boobs one more time, I'm going to be in serious trouble. And I talk about breast cancer all the time, but you can't say boobs.
But that's medical.
That's medical.
Nobody
that's
says you have boob cancer.
True.
No.
Wait, put back up your family picture. You were telling Jeff and I, tell us about the span of your family and how hysterical it is.
Well, I'm the sandwich generation because I've got, you know, the older girls were in, I guess, in college as I was having these young little, you know, it was great because it brought them back. They didn't want to miss out on anything. And they're amazing big sisters to the younger ones. So, you know, they span in age. These are all my girls from Kim and Kate were right in the middle. They're the youngest ones, 13 and almost 15. That's my Lindsay. Lindsay runs my company.
She's here. I saw her.
Lindsay's my boss, kind of.
Now your kids are even having kids. That's what I heard.
Yes, Lindsay's got a little girl, Parker, and a little boy, Leo, and my Jamie has a little boy, Mason.
What do they call you? Graham?
Nope, JoJo.
Oh, Joan.
So
we call
JoJo.
JoJo. I like
JoJo.
that.
It's cute.
And
you
they
like
can
Grandma?
say it. No, I like JoJo.
Okay. You don't like Grandma? That doesn't bother you?
No. I don't know. You know, it's so funny. They say everybody has an age that as you age, you still have a certain age that you think of yourself. And I think of myself as 46.
Okay.
I mean, that's just what I think of myself. And so it doesn't seem like I should be grandma or anything. It's not that I don't love the grandchildren. It's just a weird concept. You know, it's that aging process that's so strange. And boomers, you know, most boomers are, when they're interviewed, they say, what do you call yourself? Young or middle age, and because that's how we think of ourselves.
Except Boomer size, and he's not like that.
Boomer doesn't do it. Joan, we were talking in my dressing room before we came out. The royal wedding. This is one of the first royal weddings you haven't covered. You've covered everyone.
I covered Princess Diana getting married.
Heard of her?
Yes, and then Fergie, and then Kate Middleton. This is the first one that I didn't cover, that I wasn't over there in London. But it all made me a real royal watcher. So I love watching it. And I thought this one was so special. Yeah, this one was special because it really kind of, I think, is going to push the British monarchy into a much more modern state, and even the Church of England. You know, just allowing Prince Harry to marry the love of his life, despite all the royal rules that broke.
Yeah.
What do you remember about Princess Diana's wedding?
So I can now tell the story. Up over on a rooftop overlooking as all the horse-drawn carriages came down the way, we had a royal watcher with us. David Hartman had one, my co-host. I had one, and he was saying, "Oh, you have to pay attention to this next carriage. That's Camilla. That's Prince Charles's real girlfriend."
What?
That he goes over the fence to go over and be with her, and we're like, "What? What?" Like, we're here covering this fairy tale. And we couldn't say anything, of course. You couldn't say on the air anything that this guy was telling us during the commercial break.
Sure.
We were like blown away like, is this a total wackadoodle here next to me?
Right. Or is it being honest?
He was the biggest, gossip columnist for the British tabloids, and it turned out that he was 1,000% right. But I left London and went back, and I never really knew whether he was, just a weirdo or not.
So a lot of NBA players have kind of like a royal
Well,
wedding
you were really
kind of
into the NBA, aren't you? What is this? Get him, Joan. I'm such a guy.
They have like a show wife, and then they have like their girlfriends on the other side of the fence.
Well, but I mean,
monarchy.
But the monarchy didn't allow him to marry his real love,
Camilla,
because she hadn't been, God, we can say this, she wasn't a virgin.
Yep.
Right.
So he went off to the service, and she married someone else.
And it's kind of a neat love story to think that now they're married and now they allowed it, but they seem wonderful together, and the boys, there's something very poetic about it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, actually, Prince Charles being finally allowed to marry Camilla kind of paved the way for, I think, for Harry, being able to do that.
Morning shows today. I think if you always, as the host of GMA, when you look at what's going on now with the Me Too movement and the Times and everything, what do you make of all this?
I'm sure glad I was the host of a morning show during the 20 years that I was there. I was there, I started at Good Morning America in about 1976, became the host in 1980. And I mean, during the 80s and 90s, it was a whole different world. We didn't have all the social media. You didn't have people reacting to you. People will say, as you know, anything and everything. The last time I was on with you, it was in New York City. It was freezing cold. We were outside on the plaza.
I'm so sorry.
I was going through chemo. I had no hair. But you guys sent me all the questions because you had put it up on social media. What do you want to ask Joan? And you only got through like 4 questions. You sent me the rest of them. And like a lot of them said, now that you're coming to the end of your chemo, how are you dealing with the fear of recurrence? Well, I hadn't even thought about it.
Thanks, team.
Before I got all those questions, and all
why
of a
is Dragon
sudden,
Slayer 68 asking that on the old Twitter?
Oh my gosh! And then one woman on social media said, "I saw you today with Kit, and she asked you about what got you through your chemo treatment, and you said it was your family and having them around you and the love of family. Just remember, there are a lot of us out here who are single moms, working, trying to keep a roof over the head of our children. We don't have family." And when I heard that, I cried. Well, let me tell you, when I read that little post, I cried for an hour.
Yeah.
But it tempered me. It's good to be reminded about. You don't have to worry because you just say anything comes out of your mouth. And you're an unfiltered brain to mouth.
But I get a lot of mean tweets because of it. But
we know that you do have to be cognizant of all the people out there when you're talking on the air. And at the same time, if you ask me the same question over again, I'd have to give you the same answer because that's the authentic, real answer.
Well, Joan, we're so glad you're healthy, and that's why your show's so good, because it gives people a place that maybe don't have anybody to come to. At Home with Joan video series. Check it out. If you want more on that, go to accessonline.com. We love you. Rachel, I'm so glad you're healthy.
Thank you.